500 million years ago. The microcontinent was situated near the equator. The Western scientists called it Kazakhstania. The structure with almost full list of elements from the Mendeleev table inside its depth. What secrets does Kazakhstan's soil have? How rich is it? Natural resources are the history of our land for thousands of years.
More than 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth was formed as an independent planet. This is a scientific dating of its age. Since its formation, the Earth has been constantly undergoing geological changes. Continents are converging and diverging. Seas and oceans are forming. Mountains are growing. Recent NASA research suggests that the Earth is expanding. Activity inside the planet's crust bursts out into the surface in the form of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Energy, carrying gigantic destructive force, has always terrified people at all times. Underground forces destroyed entire cities in the ancient times. The first references about earthquakes can be found in treatises of such ancient scientists as Herodotus, Pliny, and Livy, as well as in ancient Chinese and Japanese written sources. In the list of countries that experienced the most devastating earthquakes in the history of mankind are China, India, Japan, Haiti, Iran, Russia, Greece, Italy, Turkmenistan, Armenia, Uzbekistan. And the territory of our country is not an exception. Here's an extract from the interview with the resident of the city of Verny who survived the disaster, published at Turkestansky Vedomosti newspaper on June 23, 1887. On May 28, at 4:35 a.m. in the morning, there was a loud humming noise together with strong shake that awaked all those who were sleeping. The Earth's vibrations lasted no more than a second, and then everybody calmed down, thinking it was an ordinary earthquake. Suddenly, there was a second humming noise with such strong tremors that made ceiling plaster fall immediately and destroyed furnaces, walls, and ceilings. The noise and roar from the ruined city was heard 100 miles away, and the rising dust, which looked more like a fog, filled the streets. The rumbling and cracking of the collapsing buildings, the wild neighing and mooing of the animals that rushed madly from the leash in different directions. All of the residents were already in the middle of the street, half-clothed. They were quickly crossing themselves, awaiting their death in horror. The catastrophe happened at 4:40 a.m. on June 9, 1887. The intensity of the earthquake was 10 to 11 points, which meant that in 3 minutes, the city was completely destroyed. According to the researchers, the destructive seismic wave moved at the speed of 850 meters per second. About 1,800 buildings were destroyed. 300 people were killed. The city authorities sent a telegram to the capital of the Russian Empire, St. Petersburg, saying that the city of Verny was wiped out of the face of the earth. The epicenter was located about 10 to 12 kilometers away from the city on the northern slope of the Zaylis-Galatau ridge.
Очень помогли казахи местных аулов, потому что они установили юрты.
At those times, the Kazakhs from local auls helped a lot by setting up yurts where the disaster victims lived temporarily. The commission formed to study the consequences of the earthquake was headed by Mushketov, a professor from the St. Petersburg Mining University and a member of the Geological Committee. In 1890, the first program aimed at studying earthquakes was created. At the turn of the 19th and 20th century, the construction of seismic stations was started across all regions of the Russian Empire, including Verny, where in 1912 a seismic station was built on the territory of the former city school, according to the project of Mushketov's son, Dmitry Mushketov-Zenkov. As a matter of fact, the displacements and motions of the Earth's surface, or in other words, earthquakes, happen because of natural causes, mainly tectonic processes, and artificial causes that are explosions, filling of reservoirs, collapse of underground cavities of mines. Annually, the planet experiences up to 1 million earthquakes that usually remain unnoticed. Such powerful earthquake as the one in Verny happens every 2 weeks. Moreover, most of them occur deeply at the bottoms of the oceans. Sometimes disasters become a basis of multiple researches and discoveries. However, sometimes they also give impetus to the birth of new trends in science. Thus, seismology appeared as a science during the study of the consequences of the 1755 devastating earthquake in Lisbon. This science consists of many disciplines: geology, geophysics, physics, chemistry, biology. The humankind has long been trying to find the most accurate methods for predicting earthquakes. The member of the National Academy of Sciences of Kazakhstan, Abdurrahman Kurskeyev, has spent many years of his scientific career studying this issue. As a result, he made an amazing discovery based on data from the space research. It turned out that seismic processes occur in the depths of all planets: Mars, Venus, Moon, and the others, just like they happen in the Earth's crust. Then the question is, what do the patterns happening in the bowels of the Earth-type planets have in common with the patterns happening inside the Earth itself? These very patterns were revealed. Then it became absolutely clear that we need to develop a new concept. This concept recognizes influence of space forces, especially gravity, on changes in seismic and geodynamic processes. This completely new approach to predicting earthquakes has become a birth basis of the scientific direction. Today, it is actively developing in the Institute of Seismology of the Ministry of Science and Education of Kazakhstan. What have we achieved if taken practical terms? For the first time, we created a map of seismic zones of Central Asia and Kazakhstan together with our Chinese colleagues. It has been already published. The methods used for its creation include those that already exist and those we offered. Later, we developed a new map of general seismic zoning. This map was included into the National Atlas of the Republic of Kazakhstan, which received the State Award. By the way, the Institute's specialists can give real forecasts for 5 and 7 years ahead, based on the patterns and interaction between the planets of the solar system. The scientists give arguments. 4 years ago, the Institute of Seismology published a scientific paper with information about the most dangerous periods of seismic activity not only in our region, but also on the entire planet. And 2 years later, American scientists published a similar forecast, which only confirmed the accuracy of the studies of Kazakhstan's specialists. The Institute of Seismology is the leading organization in the field of fundamental and applied research of seismic safety in the Republic of Kazakhstan. Here the works are carried out in many areas, including the study of the Earth's internal structure and earthquake source physics, monitoring and forecasting of earthquakes, assessment of seismic hazard level, and seismic risk of the territories. The institute was founded in 1976. But the history of seismology in the Republic began earlier.
В 1966 году в Ташкенте произошло сильнейшее разрушительное землетрясение, которое, в общем-то, сделало очень...
There was a strong, devastating earthquake in 1966 in Tashkent, which in general caused a lot of unpleasant things in the city. Huge number of buildings was destroyed, and then the government of the former Soviet Union decided to rebuild Tashkent and to organize a seismic agency in Kazakhstan, as a significant part of south and southeastern regions of our country are located in earthquake danger zones. Initially, the Department of Seismology was organized at the Institute of Geological Sciences. And then, on the basis of this department, which already had several seismic stations by that time, the Institute of Seismology was established. It was headed by the academician Zhakan Yerzhanov. The scientist founded the directions in modern mechanics of the Earth, which contributed to the discovery of a new scientific specialty, geomechanics, the achievements of which are widely applied in mining and construction. One can find out about the history of the seismology development in the country in one of the old facilities of the institute. The equipment that seismologists had used until it was replaced by digital technologies is displayed here.
Наша станция в 2005 году полностью заменили аналоговую регистрирующий аппарат.
In 2005, the analog recording equipment has been completely replaced with the digital one.
Списывать, просто выбрасывать ее было.
But all devices were in running order, and we could not just throw it away.
На каждом из...
Now, if you look at the display itself, you will see that each device has titles saying when this equipment was released and for what purposes it was used. There are seismometers to record seismic waves that were placed on the buildings and register strong motions of the ground. The Laboratory of Engineering Seismology and Seismic Stability of Facilities is one of the subdivisions of the Institute. Here the scientists study the influence of earthquakes on various constructions, as well as soils and foundations of the latter.
Здесь мы определяем техническое состояние зданий и сооружений, их сейсмостойкость.
Here we determine the technical condition of buildings and facilities and their seismic resistance. To assess earthquake resistance of buildings and seismic conditions, the laboratory has modern equipment that enables to determine these parameters by using non-destructive methods. We provide general analysis and engineer examination of the building, analysis of the design documentation, and general assessment of the building. By the way, the authorities began to develop programs of earthquake-resistant construction on the territory of Kazakhstan in the end of the 19th century. The reason for that was the well-known earthquake in the city of Verny. After all, only the Ascension Cathedral, that is one of the tallest wooden buildings in the world, an architectural pride of Kazakhstan, survived the disaster. Its height is 54 meters. It was built by an engineer, Andrei Zenkov, based on the project of an architect, Konstantin Borisoglebsky. The uniqueness of this building is its exceptional earthquake resistance, as Zenkov applied particular breakthrough technologies in its construction. The building has a single, flexible structure which consists of wooden elements fastened with metal plates and bindings. This building passed the durability test during another devastating earthquake in 1911. Generally speaking, throughout its history, the humankind has been trying to protect homes from being destroyed by earthquakes.
люди из древности знали. Мы, например, скажем сейчас слово «фундамент».
The ancient people were well aware. For example, now we use the word foundation, and in ancient times it was called stylobate. People knew where they could build. They deliberately tampered the earth, and only after that they started to build. In all the medieval cities of Eurasia, not only of the Semirechye, there is a lower foundation. This foundation is sometimes 1.5 or 2 meters high. Actually, our ancestors from the Middle Ages developed interesting architectural techniques. For example, there were thin flat roofs and thick walls, which did not fall down in case of earthquake, and cracks that appeared were later fixed. Such techniques helped to avoid big losses among people. Since ancient times, people have learned not only to build safe houses, but also to listen to and to observe nature, and especially behavior of the animals. They react sensitively to tremors in the Earth's surface, and many sources mention that. For example, prior to earthquakes, swallows, sparrows, and pigeons fly into the houses through the open windows. Today, ordinary science have found their scientific basis. This direction is called seismobiology. In Kazakhstan, it was formed in 1988. The institute is a seismic laboratory and a biopolygon. By the way, it was the first time in the world when a network of biostations was created, where the animals with the highest level of sensitivity to natural phenomena are monitored.
Мы изучали вариации звуковой активности попугайчиков. Мы имеем многолетние ряды наблюдений, которые...
We studied the variations of sounds produced by parrots.
Звуков, извлекаемых попугайчиками накануне землетрясения.
We have results of long-term observations that show that the spectrum of sounds created by parrots before the earthquake is shifted from 7 to 10 kilohertz.
Сонограммы, вот звуковые.
When we checked sonograms, sound variations and presence of these waves in this frequency range, this indicator is very informative.
Этот показатель очень информативный. Очень удивительные.
Pigeons show very surprising reactions.
Голуби.
Birds are flying away in flocks.
Со стайками и улетают.
There are cases when 3 days before the strong earthquake, pigeons flew away from future epicenter of destruction. The experimental base of the Institute of Seismology allows carrying out serious fundamental and applied research. In addition to biopolygon, it is represented by a network of complex geophysical observatories, as well as seismic, hydrogeochemical, hydrodynamic stations, geophysical observation stations, chemical laboratory, system of information collection and transmission, local processing center, and data banks. The presence of seismic stations located in different parts of Kazakhstan enables to conduct observations and promptly obtain information about the seismic situation. The stations operate 24 hours a day.
Мы находимся в данный момент в сейсмическом станции Медео, штольни. Это штольня.
Now we are in the tunnel of the Medeo seismic station. The construction of this tunnel began in 1975, and its operation was started on October 29, 1979. The uniqueness of this seismic station is the quartz deformer installed in its base. As you can see, these are quartz pipes that are 27 meters long. From both sides, these pipes are embedded into the bedrock on a concrete foundation. When the earthquake starts, this device measures the deformation of the earth. It also measures the lunar tides, temperature inside and outside the tunnel. This is a unique station, and this device has been working since its foundation in 1979.
С основания 1979 года этот прибор работает.
Also, the Laboratory of Hydrogeodynamics is working on prediction of the earthquakes. Here, scientists monitor so-called natural sounding signals in special wells. Scientists analyze the behavior of water, its quality and composition. After all, the processes of preparation for strong earthquakes can cause the abnormal state of groundwater tanks. Information from all 63 observation points, which are located on the territory of Kazakhstan, is sent to the Central Seismic Station in real time. It is located in the city of Almaty, that is the most earthquake-sensitive region in the country. Any information related to the occurred earthquake, including the epicenter, depth, and intensity, is processed and posted on the website of the Seismological, Experimental, and Methodological Expedition. During the whole period of observations, the center has processed over 60 terabytes of information, which is an equivalent of about 30,000 full-length films. It is said that earthquakes do not recognize any borders. Therefore, the specialists of the Institute of Seismology are in close contact with their foreign colleagues. Our homeland seismologists cooperate with their Chinese colleagues. It is important to mention that both countries are among few states where scientists forecast earthquakes. Most countries have refused to solve this problem.
Институт сейсмологии входит в девятку стран по линии ЮНЕСКО, наиболее передовых, занимающихся области проблемы.
The Institute of Seismology is one of the 9 in UNESCO list of the most advanced countries in the world dealing with earthquake problems. International organizations regularly contact our Institute for Cooperation, which is largely thanks to our president, who actively promotes Kazakhstan everywhere to make it economic, cultural, and scientific center. Therefore, many countries contact our institute to build cooperation. Recently, Iranian and Greek representatives contacted us. Several times we participated in international projects when our employees visited zones of catastrophic earthquakes to do assessment of consequences. Nowadays, the institute is under reorganization, and it is soon expected to reach a qualitatively new level. The plan is to merge all the subsidiaries into the National Center for Seismological Observations and Research. In addition, the institute has developed a number of initiatives that have a serious social focus. For example, experts consider that it is necessary to adopt the law about seismic safety and increase the seismic awareness of the country's population. There is one more suggestion that is dictated by the conditions of living in earthquake danger zones. It is certification of all buildings and facilities.
Это социальная ответственность и социальная стабильность, да, то есть это вот те факторы.
This is a social responsibility and social stability.
Направление.
These are the factors that should give impetus to the development of any direction,
Вот и мы сказали тогда.
whether it is science or manufacturing. Whatever it is, we have launched a project for the certification of buildings and facilities, which should give an understanding to all residents who are living in seismic hazard zones.
Района. То есть если
And if certain inconsistencies in technical plans are identified, then these discrepancies should be eliminated accordingly. Kazakhstan scientists treat 6 regions of Kazakhstan as earthquake zones: East Kazakhstan, Almaty, Jambul, South Kazakhstan, Kızılorda, and Mangistau. Earthquakes occurred here in ancient times and also happen now. Seismologists are sure they will happen here in the future. Our planet is like a living organism. It breathes, grows, and develops. Sometimes it leads to some anxiety inside its bowels. It is still difficult to predict when and where the outbreak happened. Thousands of years ago, people went to oracles and priests, later to fortune-tellers and sorcerers. Today, it became clear that only science is able to properly assess the intensity of natural phenomena and protect humans from unbridled elements. A 50-year history of success of the Kazakhstan's Institute of Seismology and the brilliant results its scientists have achieved give hope to an optimistic future.